One topic that's not been discussed is grooming. And I think it's because even the parents don't know what grooming is, let alone teaching their kids how to identify when they're being groomed. Grooming is not necessarily a bad word. It's like preparing someone for something. For instance, the way an average African girl is raised to be like, okay, when you get to your husband's house, this is what you're supposed to do. That one is also considered grooming. You can groom somebody for a leadership position. You can groom somebody into an office position. So it's just like preparing someone for something. But this one we're talking about is how to identify if you're being groomed by a sexual predator. That's the one we're talking about. So first on the list, they build trust and emotional connection. So what these people do is they try to be there for you. They show you kindness, give you special treatment, try to, kids have this thing, they feel like they're special, so that they amplify it for you. They make you feel like you're special. They listen to you when you speak, and they give you gifts. The gifts is always part of it, and they always look for kids that seem neglected. Maybe they notice that the kid is not getting enough attention from home, or they're being bullied. They just look for people that are already down. Then as somebody that is already in that position, where you now have somebody paying attention to you, it just does a different thing for you. So that's how they identify their victim and start reassuring them and start being there for them. The next one they try to do is isolating the child. So after the person pick their victim, they isolate them from either friends, if they have any form of friendship, or even if they are close to maybe any family member, they still try to like distance them from that family member. Like one of the people that were grooming me when I was about 8 years old, what he does is when I'm playing with other kids, he will come and remove me from there. He did it for a very long time. He'll remove me from playing with kids and just carry me and come and sit down with him, hoping that I'll now be like more interested in always spending time with him instead of playing with other kids. So that's one of the things they do. Then they tell you things about themselves, like they encourage secrecy. So they tell you things about themselves that probably you're not supposed to know. Then they try to encourage you to do the same thing, to tell them things about yourself that you probably wouldn't want to tell anybody, or they just ask you weird questions and encourage you to talk about it that is normal and stuff like that. Desensitization and inappropriate behavior. So what they start doing is they start introducing physical touches into it, like hugs. Like anytime they see you, like, oh, give me a hug. Or if you're wearing something, they try to want to like touch you, like, oh, this shirt is really nice. And oh, you have dirt on your bum. That one is a staple. You have dirt on your bum. Let me help you clean it. And they help you dust your butt. They do that a lot. So they start introducing physical touches. From there, it starts getting like inappropriate. Like making comments on like different, like the sexual parts of the body. But they try to make you feel like, it's a normal thing. It's not something that you should be ashamed of. So they just try to make you comfortable with such topics and being touched. Just generally, like I said, hugs are innocent. So that's where it actually starts from. And they just make you comfortable with that to prepare you for when they start like touching other places, so you'll not be alarmed and probably want to report to anybody. Yeah, while they're doing this inappropriate touching and introducing you to different topics that you have no business knowing, they disguise it as some type of education. So they tell you it's something you need to know because as you're getting older, it's a normal thing. I think I said that already, but they just hide it under education. Using technology. Technology has been one of the... It has been like a gold mine for groomers. I remember always getting video calls from people in all these Arab countries. You don't even see their face. The camera is just on their crotch. Immediately you pick the call, that's the first thing you see. They try to introduce like chats from just meeting you, talking to you, introduce chats, demanding explicit photos from you. Some of them can even use like threats, and they know that as a teenager there's a lot you don't know and you're very fearful, so they can capitalize on that and force you to do things that you probably don't want to do, which is why you see cases where 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds are sending nudes to somebody online, because they don't know that those threats that that person is giving them is all smoke. It's just the person trying to get something from them, but because they're still small, they don't know how things work, and they just believe whatever the person is saying, and they're forced to do whatever the person wants. The next one is manipulation and control, guilt tripping. So how this works is they make you feel like it's what you want, and eventually from giving you that attention and probably gifting, they start making you feel like you owe them something. That's why till now I still have the habit of refusing gifts from people, because they always like make you feel like you owe them something because of what they're doing for you, even if it's not a physical gift, just that attention, because they know it's doing something for you. Like we said earlier, they identify people who are isolated, probably people who are having troubles in their family, or people who are being bullied and stuff like that. Those are the people that they pick out. So them giving you that attention, they know it does something for you. It makes you feel seen and stuff like that. So they start making you feel like you owe them something for it, which is now they putting their hands on you. And if you decline, immediately they withdraw every form of attention that they've been giving you. They withdraw it immediately. From what I've noticed, that's the part that gets a lot of people. For my own case, I was already used to loss, because my dad died, my mom died. So at this point, I don't really care about losing people. Like, if you're here, you're here. If you're not, you're not. So in my own case, when the person did that, and they wanted to put their hands on me, I'm like, oh no. And the person just stopped talking to me. It's like straight face. Even if I try to say hi, I'm like, okay, moving on. But a lot of young people are not able to do that, because they are now reliant on that person. And since maybe in their own case itself, maybe family issue, they're not getting enough attention from their house, they now see that person as like a family member. So they don't want to lose that connection that they have with that person. So eventually they end up doing what the person wants them to do, or what the person wants to do with them. Yeah, so that's the part that I've noticed actually breaks a lot of people. Exploiting authority or status. So these people are usually people that you might want to look up to, people that you know that getting validation, people that know that them validating you will do a lot for you, like teachers, religious leaders, probably somebody that is prominent in the society, or maybe in the family. The person is known as like the person that's the richest in the family, so everybody relies on them. People that are in places of authority figures, like I said, teachers and the rest. Religious leaders, you guys don't sleep on this, because I keep seeing parents leaving their kids with religious leaders. Those people are dangerous. It doesn't matter the religion. Do not leave your child with even a religious person, first of all. So they exploit the fact that people look up to them. It's just like you getting recognition from probably the president of any country self. You're just minding your business, and a president or maybe a celebrity sends you a direct DM. You screenshots, post it. Oh my God, this person did this. So they capitalize on the fact that they have that impact on you to start giving you that attention and doing all those things. Just to, the end result for them is just to do stuff with you at the end of the day. Gaslighting and confusion. So when eventually the whole thing starts happening, the person will make the child feel guilty, make them feel like whatever reaction they're having towards whatever is now happening is just them overreacting. So them now feeling that way, just calm down, you're overreacting, you're doing too much. It makes them feel like everything is their fault, and this eventually distance them from people furthermore, because they don't want to tell anybody. Because what if they now tell somebody and the other person now be like, and so what? It's a normal thing. Because like I said, gaslighting and confusion, they make you feel like you wanted it. They make you feel like it's a normal thing to do at that age, and then you're overreacting. So there's that fear of, what if I tell somebody and the person has this same reaction? Because each time I hear somebody talk about sexual assault, one of the questions people normally ask is, why didn't you say it then? When it was happening, why didn't you tell anybody? They fail to understand that there's a lot of things that goes on during that time. Because if you now have that doubt in your mind that, well, this person, you're a kid, of course, you don't know a lot of things. You don't even know that the reason why the person is saying most of the things they say is because they are also scared. They don't want you to out them. So the person like manipulating you, gaslighting you, making you feel like, first of all, it's normal, it's your fault, you're overreacting. There's that fear of, what if I tell somebody and this is the person's reaction? So at the end of the day, most kids, especially like the younger they are, maybe like 8 years old, they just feel like it's a normal thing. So their chances of telling anybody at that age is very small. Unless maybe they have somebody they trust, or maybe somebody noticed and started probing them. Just the way somebody groomed them to be in that position, somebody can also make them spill anything. You just have to be attentive enough, because children are easy to manipulate. So if there's anybody around them that notice maybe behavioral change, because you will definitely notice the behavioral change, and the person now probes them enough, they would eventually tell you at that point. But if nobody noticed and put pressure on them, they will not say anything, because there's also shame attached to it. I feel like we should stop asking that question each time we see somebody talking about sexual assault that happened to them years ago, and people have been like, why didn't you say anything then? Well, at least now you know the components that comes into play that makes the person not want to say anything. And now they're adults, they now understand a lot of things, and they now also understand that their silence is foiling, is accommodating the behavior. Silence is accommodation. The more you're quiet about it, the more you're giving the chance to people that behave that way to behave that way. Grooming the family or the community. Now, if you look at the world in certain countries, you can tell communities and countries that, or societies, that they are all groomed up. All of them, both the women, the men, the children, everybody is groomed up. I don't need to mention any names, but what these people do is they build trust within the child's parents. They position themselves as helpful, like they're just this good Samaritan, that an upright citizen that just cares about your child, trying to help and stuff like that. Like in my case, there was someone that he was always bringing coffee in the evening. Every evening he will make coffee, like cookies, bring for me every evening, and he does that in front of my mom, of course, to make her feel like, oh, I just care about your child, I'm just a good person that way, and stuff like that. But my mom clocked it, so it was cool. But most people don't know, especially like I said, they pick out people who are disadvantaged, especially poor people from poor communities, people who can barely afford anything for the child. Imagine your child going to school now, managing and stuff, then somebody buys socks. Trust me, you think socks is small. There are some people that if you buy socks for them, they will flip. They will, like, you will become their god. It's that bad, because poverty is a tool at the end of the day. So the moment the parents identify you as helpful, is done. And like we said, whole communities can also be groomed for them to accept that it's okay for a 60-something-year-old to be with a 15-year-old. Like I said, I don't want to call names, but there are communities where this is a normal thing. Everybody is on board with it. Even people that are not on board with it will not dare say anything, because they know the amount of people that are okay with it are more than the amount of people that are not. And from the child's point of view, life expectancy is not put into consideration at this point. The person is already at the last phase of their life. You're at the first phase of your life. Whatever kids you're having now are going to be your business, your problem. Which is why living poverty for people that for women that start having kids from a very young age is almost non-existent, because your entire life will now be spent trying to provide for those kids with little knowledge. Because when other people were gaining knowledge, you were popping out kids, while the person has probably gotten older, either no longer have the ability to work, or they've moved on, they've passed on. So everything is now on you. This is the part that the kids in this situation don't see. while the adults don't even care, and the adult in question is just doing it for sexual gratification, nothing else. Their own is just for sexual gratification. Again, let me go over some of the signs to look out for in a child that's being groomed. Change in behavior. They behave differently. They don't behave like kids. They start like wanting to act mature. When they talk, it's usually relating to something sexual. Like they start using words that you be like, somebody at this age should not know stuff like this. And because they are kids, they don't even know. And the person they're doing it with has convinced them that it's okay. They just talk about it, especially when they're in front of their friends. That's why it's also dangerous for your own kids. Kids also groom kids. There's a predator that was interviewed, that I saw his interview, was arrested, and they were just asking him questions. And he's like, the moment you're able to groom one child, that child brings kids for you. Because anything like they do, they discuss it in front of their fellow children. And they start making them feel like it's because like I'm special. That's why. It's because, I like it. There's just that thing of feeling like, oh, it's because, I'm better. So kids, they don't know better. They start trying to want to be like that person. So they will also be special. And, I've mentioned this before. When you see an adult giving too much attention to you, or you see an adult giving too much attention to your child, there is nothing that an adult and a kid have in common. Different generations, different experiences. Everything is different. Interest different. There is no fully functional adult that finds a kid interesting. Most adults find kids annoying. I have nieces and nephew, and I love them and all, but I also think they're annoying, and it's fine. So that's how an adult brain is supposed to function. So when you see an adult, a full-grown adult, taking a shine to a kid, always wanting to be around them, always just giving them attention, it's a very big red flag. There is no reason for that to happen. Yeah, so that's it basically. When you notice any of this behavior from either an adult towards a child, or you notice a child behaving a certain way, be sure to sit the child down and talk to them and let them know the side effects of what they're doing, because at the end of the day, it destroys the child when they get to a certain age. Imagine someone that was groomed like from a very young age, and the person was giving them stuff like just constant. If they need anything, they ask the person. Do you think that child will have the mind to want to do anything for themselves? They already view themselves as some type of product. That's what it does. The person, no matter if they start getting older, no matter how old they get, they still view themselves as some sort of product. So it doesn't just affect the child, it affects them in adulthood. It affects how successful they can get to be. It's just a shit show generally. So these are things you should look out for. Bye.